Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm so excited. I say that every episode, but now I really mean it because my best friend, Taylor Tucker, is here. And she's here for really good reason. One, because she is one of the only people on earth, I've said this before on the pod, that's like on the same level as me pop culture wise, which I mean, that's not an insult to anybody else, but just speaks to my like deep love and appreciation for Taylor. But she's here to talk about pop culture, but also because we have to talk about Nobody Wants This. Let me, first of all, let Taylor say hi. Taylor, say hi.
Hi, I just want to chat podcast community. I'm so happy to be here. So honored.
You are a cherished and honored guest. Um, okay, so not only do I need her on here for pod pop culture podcasting reasons, but Taylor and I are not only on the same pop culture wavelength, but I'd say that we're both on the same like horned up for romance novels and like anything like fun wavelength.
If you were to ask my husband, that's exactly how he would describe it.
Yeah, we have one friend, and when I was in Hawaii, I was like reading a book the whole time, and Alex was like, "Oh, is Taylor reading this with you?" Because Taylor and I will read a book at the same time. We did Fourth Wing together, and we did ACOTAR together. That's a trauma bond in and of itself. We've lived the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift experience together. And like anytime there's like a hot TikTok of either of them, I send it directly to Taylor.
Mhm.
We have shared many thoughts about men's shorts and inseam
Five
length
inch,
and
5 inch guys. I'm sorry, but if your husband's boyfriend's partners are wearing anything longer than 5 inch, I don't want it. Okay. All men will look better in 5 inch. I promise. Don't go longer.
someone get Alex Arndt on the line right now because he's so committed to his 9 inch.
I'm going to text Alex and be like, I'm sending you 5 inch. Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't a believer until my husband started wearing them. And I was like, you look 10,000 times better in these. And then he tried on a 4 inch. And let me tell you, I fell over in my chair.
I didn't even
They're a
know that.
little, yeah. Lulu makes or I guess it was Chubby's, the like swimsuit brand, makes a four
Oh.
inch. And oh, baby.
I I didn't know that they made 4 inch inseam pants for people that aren't like Paul Mescal. Like I
Right,
thought that those were
right.
exclusively just for
I
Paul.
mean, I think it's for a certain community, but
Yeah.
I liked it. So
Like that's a real like time and place situation.
absolutely.
Can't
Yes.
wear them to brunch. That's for sure. But like
No. Let's
in
not wear them to a church activity. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
in an athletic setting, it's fine. But
Exactly.
anyway, so whenever there's anything like a thirst trap TikTok or something, I send it to Taylor. Taylor isn't on the Jan Ravnik train like I am with Taylor Swift's backup dancer, but Taylor's there for every moment of me sending her these thirst trap TikToks. So that's why I knew that there was one person and one person only I had to talk about Nobody Wants Us with, and it's Taylor Tucker.
The best show of the year, possibly of like the last 10 years.
It has instantly made it onto my list where someone says, I get these DMs multiple times a day. What should I watch next?
Yes.
And I have my go-tos. Oh, you have Netflix? Well, have you watched these three shows, right? Like, okay, well, let's start with the classics and then work our way down. This is instant classic. From now on, if anybody says, I need something to watch, I'm always going to ask them, have you watched Nobody Wants This? Because it is so good and a universal crowd pleaser.
A universal crowd pleaser, which I think like husbands and again partners and significant others would also like it. Men
Yes.
will also like it, in my opinion. Like it's not too cheesy, chick
Hmm.
flicky,
Yes.
because the writing is really good and the banter is really good. So because it's really well written, it's funny for everyone.
Yes. And the thing about, I mean, this conversation is probably going to be all over the place because it's going to be hard to like draw a clear line through like everything I love about the show because the answer is just everything. I don't really have many nitpicks except for I have some that we'll revisit that I've thought of in the last couple days.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what is so charming about the show is the plausibility. There are so many rom-coms, books, movies, whatever, that I'll watch them and I'll be like, well, this would never happen, but it's okay, like and fun to like turn your brain off for a little bit. This never seemed too out there.
No, it was never in the realm of like, oh, this is straight up fantasy or it was really set in real life.
Yes.
You
And
know?
I feel like a common trope in romance anything is like the miscommunication or the why can't these two people just freaking talk to each other and then
Yes.
resolve everything and then we'll be able to like live in their relationship for a little bit. And every single time there was a problem that came up, communication.
They talked.
Communication, they
They just
talked it
came out and
out.
said it. They
Yeah.
just came out and said it. Even if she, like, Kristen Bell had to turn around one time because she was like, I'm embarrassed to say this and I can't say it to your face. So she just like turned around to say it. She still said it.
Yes.
She still said it. It
Communication.
was like the perfect guide of how communication should go
Yes.
in a couple.
It was so good. And yeah, they handled every single problem. My ideal romance anything is a little bit of will they won't they in the beginning and then let me live in the relationship. Taylor knows this. My favorite Twilight book is Eclipse because you actually get to like live in the relationship for a little bit and like yes there's drama but like they're together. You know?
Yes.
They're together. And that's I think why I like Iron Flame more than
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Wing because they're together. I
They're together. Yeah.
like what's it called? Wings and Ruin because they're together, you know?
They're together. Yeah.
And this like I mean, when did we get the first kiss? Episode 3? 2?
Two
The kiss heard
episodes,
around the
maybe the
world.
end of episode two. I can't remember. But like,
That
okay, were you worried
yes.
about their chemistry? Were you worried when you heard Adam Brody and Kristen Bell? Were you worried about their chemistry? Because I listened to Armchair Expert
Hmm.
religiously, and they were both on to talk about the show. And I like them both individually. Adam Brody a little bit more because I'm a pure OC girl. I'm
Okay.
a Seth Cohen girly at my core. And so I love anything Adam Brody does. I like Kristen. I mean, obviously she's so cute, funny, talented, and amazing at most things that she does. She's like not my favorite lead, but
Yeah.
that's just, a personal choice. But I was worried about their chemistry. And I was worried, like, are they going to be able to sell themselves as a romantic couple? Don't worry, guys, because they did it.
They did it. I
They
was
did
trying to analyze these thoughts because I feel like I'm so, caught into the pop culture world, right?
it. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that does kind of end up in like little parasocial things. So when an actor is a outspoken wife guy or an outspoken wife and always talks
Mm-hmm.
about her husband, it's very hard for me to like kind of put their personal life aside when I'm watching them in a role, right?
Yes, yes.
And so I'm like, okay, we're going to have this meshing of a wife guy. Like everybody knows that Adam Brody is with Leighton Meester. And they have a very cute relationship. And like they both have kind of taken like the back seat in their career. Like I feel like they're just like living off the money that they have, doing some
Mm-hmm.
projects here and there. They're not really paparazzi. They live kind of more of a low-key life and they live on the money from the residuals from everything. And then they just have this family. And I feel like that's
Sure,
what they talk about often.
sure.
Kristen
Yeah.
Bell, I mean, I would say that she's more of a celebrity than an actress. What would you say?
Oh,
More of a personality.
more of a personality
Yeah.
than an actress, or just like more people know her. More people know her from, I don't know, it's hard because I guess what her most famous role, if I mean, the most
It's Frozen.
money she's ever made is Frozen, and
Yeah.
you only hear her voice. She's a hard one where it's like she's almost a personality, but she does amazing things like Frozen. Um, I think it's because with Dax Shepard
Yeah.
being a personality now,
Hmm.
a 100% complete personality with his podcast, and he doesn't act anymore because they're together. You kind of just like lump them in,
Yeah.
like, oh, they're personalities.
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, I was trying to think like, okay, because first of all, Kristen Bell actually isn't like one of my favorite celebrities. Like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of my favorite movies,
Mm-hmm.
but Kristen Bell, I don't know, like sometimes she can come off like a little pretentious to me and a little like all-knowing and like this is what we do with our kids. And like
Yes.
you could do whatever you want, but that's what we do with our kids. And I mean, I will always appreciate people don't know this, but she led the charge for like anti-paparazzi legislation for children in
Mm-hmm.
California. Like
Mm-hmm.
her and Dax like came up with this thing where like they wouldn't talk to any publication on the red carpet that would purchase photos of children. And they
Much like
announced
Blake and Ryan.
yeah, but like they led that whole movement and
Yeah.
they announced it a couple days before, I think was the Golden Globes, whatever
Yeah.
year they did this, probably like 7, 8 years ago. And there were like publications that were straight up like blacklisted on the red carpet by like Jennifer Aniston, all these
Yeah.
like publications. Everybody followed their suit. And then that led to like real, actual, tangible change. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate her for that. But sometimes like when she isn't always my cup of tea, but
Sure.
I found her surprisingly endearing in this. And I did buy their chemistry. I was a skeptic at first. It was off the charts.
Off the charts. And I was so shocked by it. But honestly, I don't. Adam Brody is so good that I think he could have chemistry with anyone.
Oh yeah.
I really believe
And
that.
I think that Kristen Bell probably could too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if she's not your cup of tea, I think he could flip anyone of
Hmm.
like, oh, you are the best leading man. And this really showed us like men like Adam Brody should be leading men more.
Yes.
We don't have to look like a Marvel superhero,
Yes.
okay, to be a leading man. We don't have to be Henry Cavill,
I
okay?
would rather have charisma than like handsome. Like,
The riz that is coming off of Adam Brody in this show is unbelievable.
yeah. You know what I compare it to? Have you watched Catastrophe?
No.
Taylor, you have to watch Catastrophe. It is so good.
Okay.
I was going to put it yesterday. I made a reel saying like if you watch Nobody Wants Us, you should watch or you should watch these shows. I didn't put
Yeah.
Catastrophe in there because it does kind of take like a dramatic some dramatic swings, so it doesn't have as
Mm,
like warm and fuzzies, and
yeah.
they fight and there's like marital problems and stuff. But
Mm,
Rob Delaney, who's like one of my favorite Twitter users,
yes.
one of my favorite people in Hollywood. He's
Yeah.
the lead of that show. And
Okay.
like he's not a traditional leading man, but it's the charisma that makes him like so hot. And
Yes.
Adam Brody is hot by himself, like an objectively attractive man, but the
Yeah.
charisma and his excitement for things and his sense of humor and
Yeah.
everything about the show worked.
Yes. And I think the leading man thing, he so on Armchair Expert, he Kristen Bell had said something about like, well, when I read the script, I said, well, this is Adam. But then she said, but Adam doesn't always do leading role. Like he doesn't love a romantic leading role. And Adam
Yeah.
was like, hold on, that's not true. I don't get offered them. I don't get offered leading role, like men
Insanity.
roles. And I was like, that's crazy because he should be
Yeah.
every leading man should take note.
I really feel like there's a world where Adam Brody could be like Glenn Powell. Like there's like
Yeah,
Adam Brody could do Hitman, you know?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Like 100%. And maybe even like I don't want to say better, but like I think that one or two more roles like this and Adam Brody could really go like head to head. I mean, like could he have led Twisters? Probably not. Like that wouldn't be like my first like instinct for him,
Uh-huh.
but a blockbuster, I could see him in a blockbuster, you know?
Absolutely.
But I don't know. And then like on the same train of thought, Sasha had that
Yes.
same like I mean, he's not a hot
Right.
man, but his like charisma was so,
Yeah.
and I mean I love Veep, so
Of
I
course.
see
Of
him on
course. Yeah.
there. But
Hmm.
him and what was her name? Morgan. I only know
Yeah.
her as Willa, you know.
Yes.
But
Yes. Willa from Secession.
yeah,
Yeah. But she
that
was
was perfect.
amazing as well. I thought she was great.
She we need to put her in everything, first of all.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I need season two
How did you,
to
I guess, talking about Morgan and Sasha, how did you feel about where their storyline was going, what their storyline was, with, Sasha being married and her being the quote unquote, like, fun, slutty
yeah.
sister, and them, like, texting, knowing it was weird because he's married, but still doing it? Where did you think that storyline could go in season two, and do you like it?
I feel like they were setting up that like the wife is horrible, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like she's mean and she's mean-spirited and whatever. And then when she says like these sisters got to go down at the end of the last episode, I feel like that's our window to some kind of like
Yes.
romance with those two. But I just feel like there's something harder about a divorce that's not fun to watch. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to watch this, especially when there's a kid involved, right? So we just watched this cute little
Right.
girl's bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
And now in season two, I don't think it would be as fun or satisfying for them to like pick up where they left off. Like, I think if they were to do something, they would have to like open it up with them, like, yep, I just moved out. Here's my new apartment. and then have the wife like instantly get into a relationship or something to make it a fun rom-com vibes, but I
Hmm.
kind of hope that they do because it was so fun to watch them together. But of course, like in real life, like totally inappropriate, nobody should ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was inappropriate, and the wife would be pissed if this happened to
Yes.
me. I, as a
I
wife,
would be
I would
pissed.
be
Yes.
furious. And it's completely inappropriate. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Like I don't think that married
Yeah.
men have female friends. That's just me. It doesn't
Yes.
work, in my
Yes.
opinion. But I thought they did such a good line of teetering the line of is this appropriate? Is it not? And obviously them not like having a full blown affair in season one. But I really like how they made you feel for the wife. Yes. Was she awful?
Hmm.
Yes, she was like really mean to Kristen Bell, but you like also look at her situation of like being best friends with Rebecca, being under the scrutiny of Sasha and Noah's mom,
Yes.
and like being this perfect Jewish wife and like just trying to appease her in-laws and just, everything like that. And like he did marry her. Sasha did marry her. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't like all the stuff that Sasha was like, oh, well, she's the worst. But yeah, I married her. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's your
Don't,
problem, dude, not hers.
yeah. Don't love that. And I do feel like her character completely like evolved into a way more like dynamic, lovable. Like maybe I
Yes.
could root for this person in the mother-in-law episode. In
Yes. Yes. At the
like in
house,
the
at the
Meet
brunch.
Bria. Yeah,
I
because that
agree. And
was
I think she had a torn situation where she actually did end up liking Joanna. And
mhm.
she knew that she felt torn because of Rebecca. Because like imagine your best friend. Like
Yeah.
if you can easily put yourself in that situation and be like, well, I'm gonna be a B to this person
Yeah.
always
Like
because
I'm
I'm gonna be loyal
obligated
to my
to.
best
I
friend. But
must.
like, but also she could be my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So this is really hard. And I really liked that they made her somewhat likable in some scenes. And I was like kind of rooting for her at the end. And by the time like Morgan got to the bar mitzvah, I was like, I don't know, this isn't appropriate. And I would also take Morgan down.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, and it would I feel like the layer of it being like her daughter's bat mitzvah, like because if this was just like a family friend or something,
Hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, yeah, let's invite Morgan, that's fun. But it being her daughter's thing, I don't know. I feel like if it's something that they're going to tackle in season two, it's going to have to be a time jump,
Hmm.
Sasha in a sad, tiny apartment,
Hmm.
and the wife is going to have to be like remarried or something, like quickly remarried
See, I
to
don't think
like
they're going to get
humanize them.
divorced. I
I'm
don't
just
think they're
saying,
going to
like,
get
if that's
divorced.
something that they're going to explore,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only route to make it a fun rom-com
Yeah.
without like
Yeah.
yuckiness, you know?
Like I don't think she's letting Sasha go.
Yeah.
Like I don't think she would allow that. She'd be like,
I wouldn't
absolutely
either.
not. I'm just going to make your life a living hell.
Yeah.
But you are absolutely not divorcing me.
And just
Yeah.
the writing on the show is just so top notch. It never had any of that like, and I mean, maybe the key to this is that the romantic leads were aged up a little bit from most of the rom-coms that we see. Because I feel
I think
like,
it made a huge difference.
yeah,
At first you're a little worried about it. And again, sorry to talk about like armchair expert again. That's just like the interview that I really heard them. They were worried about it too.
hmm
They were worried about the ambiguity of their ambiguity. Sure.
ambiguity. But now I can't do it.
Exactly. Like the not knowing really how old they are. And people, they were worried about like, oh, Kristen either looks too old for him or they both look too old to be like in this fun, flirty, romantic connection. But I think it worked perfectly. And I think we should have older leads all the time.
Yes, because it did so many different things. One, it made sense to me, like that the stakes were kind of this woman's going to have to convert for them to be together pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly, right?
And that it would change her entire life. Like maybe if they were 19 and falling in love, a
Hmm
19-year-old would be like, sure,
Yeah,
whatever. But like she's in her late, I think they're pretending they're in their late 30s. Or
that's
not
what I'm
pretending, but
assuming.
like I would
I
assume like
pictured
late
like
30s.
a 36.
Yes, like
Yeah.
36 to like 39 or something like
hmm
that. That would change rock your entire world
Yeah.
at 38. If you were to all of a sudden convert to Judaism and you weren't even religious to begin with.
hmm
And I like that. It's just it brings a level of like maturity to the characters. It also makes it more realistic when they are being mature and communicating. It's like, well,
Yes.
yeah, these people are 38.
Hmm.
They're not 20-year-olds like communicating well.
Yeah.
They're 38-year-olds who know how to communicate. He's a rabbi, so he's at least he has communication styles and techniques. And,
Hmm.
when he's like giving basically therapy sessions to other couples, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we live in the world of like realism.
Yeah. And like it was just so refreshing. Yeah, the communication and like weird added layer, but like the financial stability and like the not having any higher, I mean, his church and his like obligations that way, but I feel like I'm so used to they're in college or
Right.
what like they have to live by this like extra set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
But what made this series like so refreshing was these are just two people figuring it out for themselves. I loved it. I loved it. The only nits that I have to pick
Mm.
are,
Get into it.
I mean, this just comes from my ignorance about the Jewish faith. And so I do follow actually a lot of like Orthodox Jewish people on Instagram or on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always follow like the, hi, my name is Miriam. I'm an Orthodox Jew and I tell you what my life is like.
Yeah.
I watch every single one of her videos. And so I'm like upholding like those standards to this, which obviously those are two different things. But, and this isn't a nitpick, this is just my thought process, was
Mm-hmm.
not expecting like the openness about like sexuality. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be like a Fleabag forbidden fruit situation
Right.
where
Nope. No
like the tension
forbiddenness.
like where like the tension is the religion. And yes, to a point of like choices are going to have to be made, but none of their choices in their relationship were based on shame or
Guilt.
picking one or
Not.
the
Yeah.
other or like, oh, I'm holding her higher than God or I'm holding her higher than something. There was none of that,
Yes.
which
I
was
don't want to
so,
taint her. I don't want
yeah,
to take away her chastity or her value or her virtue. No,
yeah. Like there
they were
was,
just real adults.
yeah.
But because obviously, we come from a Mormon background
Hmm.
where we cannot comprehend
I,
being that religious and
yeah,
being a leader in a church and not having sexual shame
yeah. Like
and
I was,
not having shame around a very consensual but just like fun casual relationship.
yeah. Like I was,
Obviously, that is not a thing we grew up thinking was right.
yes.
um Now I Mary knows this, but I did reach out to my favorite influencer on Instagram who's Jewish, and I asked her, but she has sadly not responded. Liz Woods, if you're listening to this, please respond to my DM
You're,
because it's very sincere.
you're standing
um
by.
I'm standing by, but very sincere. And I was just like, hey, I would love to know if you're like a cool hip rabbi that Adam Brody plays in this show is a consensual, fun, casual sexual relationship, cool
An
and chill,
option. Yeah.
cool and chill. And if it is, I love that. I'm so glad. But if that's not realistic, maybe that could put, because I have the main critiques that I've seen on the show have come from like Instagram
They're like Jewish women.
influencers that I follow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jewish women that either didn't like the portrayal of the Jewish woman, which, hey, again, we are Mormon and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives just came out and people were freaking out about that. So, like,
Yeah.
we understand
No
a
one wants to feel
portrayal.
misrepresented.
We understand a portrayal of like women, right? When
Hmm.
women are either really mean or really sassy or really, because of a religion or a culture. So we get that. But I think for the most part, and then she was posting, her followers saying like, but this is like my mom. This is my aunt and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So she saw both sides as well. I think one of my biggest nitpicks is the podcast of it all and Rachel, or sorry, not Rachel Bilson,
Mhm.
uh, and Kristen Bell not taking it seriously. It didn't feel like
There was no work ethic displayed
to
on the
for
show.
for a manager to say you forgot about a meeting with Spotify for a podcast, and her just be like, sorry, I have a weekend away. I can't be to that spot. I can't go to that Spotify podcast. Morgan, you're up.
If
I'm like, are you
somebody,
kidding me?
if someone told me, hey, Mary, you have a meeting with Spotify on Friday, I would walk from Las Vegas
Yeah.
to LA to go do
Yes.
it. Like that
Yes.
is, those are
Yes.
$1 million deals. multi-million dollar deals.
Yeah. And I wish we could have gotten some context on how big their podcast
Yeah.
is. Are we like where are we? Are we in a 20,000 follower count? Are we in a 100,000 count? Are we a call her daddy?
Yeah.
Who are we?
Well, because
Like a
if
call
it,
her daddy that doesn't have a deal yet. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Because, like, I mean,
Like,
I was just picturing the Fosters podcast, like the original, like, Nobody Wants This
mm-hmm.
podcast. And I remember following them when I was really into the Morning Toast podcast, which, like, I'm not
Yeah.
as into anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, and they were similar, where, like, they could host meetups and there would be,
Yeah.
75 to 100 girls that would show up. They would, they were selling things. They were totally supporting themselves this way with influencing, but they were still in, like, the 200, 100 to 200K follower
Okay.
range. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
where I always put her,
Yeah.
or put the podcast, like, but then, yeah, I'm like, okay, so I want to figure out their money situation. Like, so she has what looks like a nice house, but it's in a complex. So is this a
So she has like a
townhome?
townhouse, but it
Does she
looks
own the townhouse? Is this a renting thing?
they're in LA and
Yeah.
like the look of her townhouse is very nice. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, so and again, it's a TV show. I know. They have to have good set design. They have to make it look good.
Yeah.
Sure. But like if we're going off of if this is real life and realistic, I would assume if I walked into someone's townhouse like that and they just told me they were a podcaster, I'd be like, wow, your podcast is incredibly
Yeah.
successful.
And also, like, how much money do rabbis make? And what, like, I'm sure it's a lot because all they're doing is like talking about donors and that kind of
Right.
stuff. But like, what we only got like a couple glimpses of his house, right? And it just seemed like maybe an apartment.
His
Is
looked
it?
more apartmenty to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then he also
I'm
clearly
gonna
comes from money because that
right,
house,
his parents.
yeah,
I'm literally looking up how much do LA rabbis
on
make.
average. And it seemed like a prestigious,
Temple.
yeah. What's the price? Also, another random nitpick that I saw from a Jewish creator. They said like
Okay.
on the episode with the charcuterie and the prosciutto,
Yes.
that wouldn't be allowed in general because they can't have meat and cheese on the same plate. Like they can't eat, like if you're following kosher law, you can't
Yeah.
eat dairy and meat at the same time and it can't like
Right.
touch.
Yes, they can't touch. Right.
Yeah. So that whole thing was like a no. And I mean, part of this plot line was that she was ignorant to it, but when
Yeah.
Bria crossed that line, so to say, she's also crossing multiple lines.
Mary, Google is telling me some shocking things about what an average annual pay for a rabbi in Los Angeles is.
Let me start it at
And
140. Lower or higher?
so much lower, Mary. So much lower. Like a lot. A
I'm
lot.
not believing this. There's no way that he would like go through all these. Is it 40K?
Yeah. So Google is telling me that in Los Angeles, California, the annual salary for a rabbi is $48,000.
I'm not buying
Salaries
it.
can range widely, but and they're usually 58% of rabbis have a second job. So they're usually like a teacher
So,
as well, like
okay.
at like a Jewish school
Yeah.
or something like that.
I maybe there's so many where it's like bringing down the average, but I really do feel like, because I mean, again, going back to the Morning Toast podcast, when I was into them, they were both like getting married and they were always doing stuff with their rabbi and they would like be at their rabbi's apartment and stuff. Things were
Uh-huh.
very, very fancy.
Okay, if you have any Jewish friends that are listening to this podcast, I'm very sorry because they're probably screaming at me. But I just also there's a pulpit. Google is telling me there's like a pulpit rabbi. So right, the ones that give like the ministries, the sermons,
Okay.
right during temple, and they can make 130K.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now we're getting more
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yes. Like
But what is
so.
head rabbi?
I think the pulpit rabbi, I believe,
Okay.
is like the head rabbi and the associate rabbis.
Okay.
So we're in the six figures when it comes to rabbis.
Yeah. And I mean, I bet you a 100 to 200K following influencing career mixed with podcast, I'm going to put them in like the 300 to 400K
Sure. Yeah.
range. Could be
Yeah.
higher, could be lower, depending on the year, depending on their swipe ups, depending
Yeah.
on the
That's
BetterHelp.
true. Yeah. How many like it to know it links are they doing? You
Yeah.
know?
Is there a
Hmm.
global pandemic going on? Do people really need at-home BetterHelp therapy?
Yes.
That kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, perfect show. I love it. I need them to I've already mapped out a whole entire plan for them. They need to pull a page out of the Bears award season book. They need to get filming. I need them filming
They better be
by
filming now.
December. By
Right now.
December,
Right now.
which also
Yeah.
means we get a Christmas episode, which is what we need. I would love to see how they tackle that. She's always like
Oh, you know they
secularly
will.
covered Christmas. Her first
Hmm.
Hanukkah. That'd be great.
Her first Hanukkah. Her first
Get
Hanukkah.
get them
Yeah.
filming now. Get season 2 out by July after
What
Grammy voting has
happens?
started or Emmy voting has started. So people are voting for season 1 technically, but season 2 is on their mind,
Watching
just like
season
how
two.
the Bear
Yes.
does. So then they get
Yes.
more votes.
If
They win
Adam
more
Brody
awards.
doesn't win an Emmy, I will riot in these streets. I will riot in these
Yes.
streets. Okay. Adam Brody is a perfect man. He's a perfect actor. He's a perfect everything.
Have you seen Promising Young Woman?
Yes.
It's a bummer because that, but I mean, he's still like hot in
I,
it,
I,
but
I
even
love
if he,
him. My favorite part of Mr. and Mrs. Smith when they kidnap Adam Brody.
it's great.
Okay. He could have been Mr. Smith. Switch out Brad Pitt. I don't care.
Yeah.
Adam could have played that role. And I just think it's like, I mean, I don't know if you call it wholesome as they were in a sex shop playing with like dildos, but it's
But
just like
not gross.
not seeing it. You see like in a box,
I saw
like,
I saw Joker Folly Ado last night.
mm-hmm,
And my number one plea to the world, if this makes me a prude, whatever, stop showing me penises. I don't want
mm-hmm,
penises in movies anymore. I'm done with the
absolutely.
penis. I'm looking directly at camera right now. No
We're
more
done.
penises in movies and TV. I never want to
Women
see it.
don't want it.
Especially, I mean, like, not even, I don't want it ever.
Okay, I'm
But
gonna put an asterisk. I don't want most.
But like in this movie, it was like just these guys that were prisoners walking around with just like their
Yeah, I don't want that.
flaccid,
Mm-mm,
shriveled up penises. And
no,
I was watching it in IMAX and it was giant.
so aggressive. As
Freaking,
bridesmaids would say, it's just in your face. It's too
freaking
aggressive.
stop it. It's disgusting. Like, I mean, that sounds shamey, but I don't need them in movies
They
anymore. Bring back shame.
Nobody wants us did a really great job again of towing that line
Yes.
of showing us what we want to see and putting it behind closed doors.
Yes.
Now, I'm not a closed book girly,
Hmm.
closed book scenes in a romance novel. I don't like that.
But for a show,
Um,
it
but
works.
I liked it. I
Yeah.
really liked it. And I think it was appropriate for them. I think it was appropriate for their characters. And they did a really good job of
Yeah.
just towing that line. But hey, Mary, I would like to suggest that maybe your next newsletter and your next rewatch is the OC.
Okay. I know that I need to do it. So I was telling Taylor, she was like, obviously, I mean, Seth Cohen. And I was like, here's the thing. I watched the OC like when it came out when I was like in fourth grade.
Yeah,
And I
you were
remember
7 years
just,
old.
and
Yeah.
I remember just thinking like, I'd rather be watching Degrassi with the love of my life, Craig Manning on it, Jake Epstein.
Mm-mm.
Bring him back, by the way. I I know that I need to watch. And that's like one of those shows where it has so much cultural relevance where like I know the plot beats already. But that like I'm not saying that like tones like takes me away from it, but when someone talks about Marissa, you know, dying or
It's
whatever,
but
like I
it's different
know.
to see Adam Brody not obviously not in his prime. We thought that was his prime.
Yeah.
It was not. I think this
Little
is his
did we
prime.
know.
Little did we know that actually now is his prime.
Yeah.
So to see him in when he's younger, and especially he's basically playing Noah,
Yeah.
but in the OC. Because like his parents are rich. He's like lives in California,
Mhm.
like he lives in Southern California. They're part Jewish. Like he's in a yarmulke a lot of times.
Yeah.
So it's just like perfect. And if
You
you
need
liked
it.
Adam Brody here and you've never watched the OC, I just really highly suggest that you do it because it
Yeah.
will make you fall in love with everything that is Adam Brody.
I'm into it. I just started recently watching The Affair. Have you ever watched that show?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it's my first time. It, tale as old as time. I'm on TikTok. I see a clip of the show. I'm intrigued. So then
Hmm.
I've started watching it. I really don't like double POV anything. Like I don't like, oh, you read this chapter in the book and then it's like, oh, Miller's POV and it's the same thing I just read. I don't want that.
I want it always, but I actually don't like it in a show.
In the show, it's just a time
I want it in
waster.
a book. In a
Yeah.
book, if it's not dual POV, I really don't like it. But in a show, I think it's a little
Like I'm
harder.
fine with them going back and forth POVs, but I don't want
The same
same
scene.
scene
Mm. Hmm.
because I feel like I could just figure out. I mean, I feel like the mystery is figuring out things along the way.
Totally.
Anyway, but I had to start watching The Affair. Maybe when I'm done, I'll tackle the OC.
Yeah.
Um, it's so good. Taylor, do you have time to chat about a couple other quick
Let's
things?
do it. Of
Okay.
course. Always. So
I don't
much
want to
time
keep
for
her
you.
too long,
I am
but
at work, but
but of but of course the only thing I've thought about since Friday afternoon has been the wedding of one Lizzie Grant, Lana Del Rey, and Jeremy Dufrene, the Alligator tour guide.
I would love to hear your like theories and your whys.
Here's my theory as a Lana Del Rey stan. I have been in the trenches for half of
Hmm.
my life. Born to Die changed my life when I was a junior. My entire personality was Lana Del Rey.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, as someone who has followed the Tumblr, as somebody who has analyzed every single line of her Question for the Culture open letter that she put out to the world a couple years ago, I'm telling you here and now, this is just a bit. She does a bit with romanticism and just like her craziness and stuff. I I mean, obviously this isn't I don't anticipate this being like a, long-lasting relationship. If it is, more power to him. I'm happy for her.
Do
But
you think she's like caught up
no, I think she
in
just has these
something?
very, very romantic ideas about blue collar America and the South. Something, and I mean, her music has traced this since the Lizzie Grant tapes, since before she was even Lana Del Rey. She grew up very, 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 very wealthy, born in New York City. She has always chased this idea of glamour meets grit, and she's
Mm,
been attracted to these loser men her entire life. She has never
mm,
had a like, and I mean, other than Harvey Weinstein, she has never been with a powerful man or anything. She's always gone with these like blue collar people. And then she writes the most beautiful music about it. But something attracts her to the chaos of I am this glamorous person and I am going to slum it with you because that's how much I love you. And she does it time and time and time again. She did it with the cop.
mm,
And one of my favorite pieces of Lana Del Rey lore is she's with the cop, she's engaged to the cop. The cop's actually engaged to somebody else at the same time. He marries her. She writes, "Did you know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard all about him?" Puts up one billboard in all of America, and it's in his town
hmm.
that he's the cop in. It's
Do you think that she gets caught up in romanticizing what these relationships should be? I mean, again, as a romance reader,
Yeah,
I often can relate to being like, oh, do I want to fall in love with now, guys, I'm married for
yeah.
3 children, 10
Hmm.
years. So love my life, love my husband. But like sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, do I want to move to this small town in Canada and be married to a cowboy and live on a farm?
She's in
They're
love.
making it appealing. They're making it appealing. And then I'm like, wait, no, no, that's not real.
Yeah.
That's not
Well,
real.
like, there's a couple things about Lana Del Rey. Every time she's opened herself up really to like public perception, like has lived in LA, goes on paparazzi walks, whatever, it's never ended well for her.
Mm,
She is at her most comfortable working at an actual Waffle House in Arkansas, which is what she did like a year and a half ago. She just started working. Some people
Mm.
say it was like for a bit or something, which I'm sure it was just like for an experience. But she also, by her own admission, very susceptible to love bombs. She's looked for love
Interesting.
since the time she was 14 years old. Lana Del Rey stands no. Since the time she was 14 years old, she has looked for love anywhere she could find it. Her dad sent her
Mm.
away. She was never
Hmm.
good enough for her family. And she has been with older men her entire
So
life.
there's daddy issues
There's some
there.
self-worth things that we could work on. But I mean, at this point though, she's 39.
Yeah.
She could be with
Yeah.
whoever she wants. And again, if this is what she's into, then like more power to her.
Hmm.
I'm amazed by the fact that his fiance of 12 years and mother of his three children made a Daily Mail statement and just said, I support them. They're great together. This is a great thing for their family. Like one would
That's wild.
right? Like stereotypes would say, hey, she, probably would talk the Daily Mail and bad talk this guy that was engaged to her for 12 years but never, sealed the deal. No, nothing but good things to say about him. Nothing but good things to say about Lana Del Rey. She's going to
Do
be
you
a
find
great.
that iffy? Do you find that
Some have mentioned like, what do they have on this woman?
right?
But a
Yeah.
lot of her statement was like, this is somebody who's involved in my kid's life now. I want nothing but good things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Like as that spouse that you're co-parenting with, as that partner that you're co-parenting with, you don't want to bad talk
Yes.
the other spouse, right?
Yeah. And
But it seems extreme to do it in the Daily Mail of just
yeah.
like happy for them.
Yeah. And many have been asking me lately, where's Taylor Swift? What is she doing? I have many theories. Like, why isn't she at Chiefs games? I don't think that she's going unless it's a home game, first of all. And
Okay, yeah,
B,
because I read an article today that was like she works really closely with Arrowhead, right? That
yeah,
like Arrowhead has it down pat when she comes.
yeah,
When you go to other stadiums, there's a lot of security that her team has to go through,
yeah.
and to like make sure that it is safe for her.
And
So
like
she can't just go to
somebody,
every single stadium and it just like automatically be safe for her.
yeah, like somebody tried to kill her 2 months ago, very publicly.
Yeah.
And also she just made a political statement
Hmm.
coming out against a group of people that have access to a lot of guns and or
Yeah.
not access. I mean, everybody in America has access, unfortunately, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they, so like, I think that's
People
probably
that
a
own a lot of
safety.
guns.
Yes, yes. It's a safety concern, probably, but also, like, if you look at her attendance last year, she was at the home games. She
Hmm.
went to a game in Buffalo, which was easy for her to
Yeah.
get to, and a Giants game in New York City. Easy, easy. So
Right.
that's probably where she's been, just kind of like hiding out. Also, her tour starts back up in like 18 days.
Yeah.
And she's also been at Lana Del Rey's wedding, I assume. There's one drone satellite photo, not satellite,
Hmm.
one drone distance photo of a woman with, kind of dirty, dusty blonde hair standing in
Hmm.
between a shorter man with shorter hair and a brunette, tall, beautiful woman.
Hmm.
It looks like Taylor Swift, Jack Antonoff, and Margaret Qualley. And
I mean, that makes sense.
those four are a group. Like I would say that those
Yeah.
are her closest public friends that
Hmm.
we know of.
Yeah.
Like, and just recently, like 2 weeks ago, they were all at a wedding together.
Yeah.
And she was
At
with the
that
Alligator man.
studio. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I, I do believe that she was there. But as far as
I
like, are Taylor and Travis broken up because they're not together? No.
know. People
And
need to chill. People
and
need to chill. She's not just a wife that like, is a
yeah,
stay-at-home mom and travels to every game. Guys,
yes,
like she's Taylor Swift.
yes,
She has other things to do. Although she like probably would love to go to every game and support her boyfriend. She has
yeah,
a job. I can't go to everything that my husband does because I got a job.
yeah.
Sorry.
And if like just to kind of people are loving to throw around the terms PR relationship
Of
from
course,
a PR
always.
standpoint, and then rarely do people really know what they're talking about. It is not going to benefit Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift in any way to announce a breakup mid-season, mid-tour.
Yeah.
Even if they broke up and they hate each other's guts,
They will
maybe they're
not
not
tell
going to
you
be.
until February.
Yeah, because anything based on Travis's performance will be based on the breakup.
Yep.
Any tour behavior based on the breakup. People will be holding them to these new standards,
Hmm.
and none of them will win, you know?
No, you would watch
So,
their every move. Like,
yes.
oh, if they like had broken up and he like lifted his eyes to a box, they'd be like, oh, he's fantasizing that Taylor is there and he's so heartbroken and sad.
Yeah.
And did you see him just like look at the box and she's not there? Like, it would be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And if they broke up and he did well in these games, then it'd be like once he cut Taylor Swift off, then he started playing football, making it seem like he's
Exactly.
somebody that
The
his game,
Kardashian effect.
yeah, like his performance is based on women's whatever. So it's not going to benefit them. And if you hear about them breaking up, just know that it's not true. There you go.
100%.
All right, we only
100%.
have a couple more minutes left because
Okay.
I don't want to keep you longer than an hour.
Okay,
But
but so how long do you think that Alligator Man and Lana Del Rey will be together? Give me a time. A
if you told
calendar
me,
year?
I'm thinking like 8 weeks.
For real? You think they're like do
I
you think
mean,
they would get like an annulment?
if I'm like following the trends of her life, the beats of her life, it's a intense thing and then it stops.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I mean, this is without really knowing, all we really know about their relationship is that Lana Del Rey said, "No, we're not dating," like a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the Taylor Swift of all does add some legitimacy. If she was at the wedding, I don't think that she's going for a bit. Like,
Right.
do you realize how hard it is to transport Taylor Swift from one place to another? Like,
She
she
wouldn't
has
do it for a bit.
motorcades. She has,
Right.
I bet you any of her travel costs 70,000 minimum. Minimum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like security alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, and that's like not even counting lodging. I'm just saying from point A to point B.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know.
That's
But
interesting. I'm gonna put a number on it, not knowing a lot. I'm gonna say 4 months.
okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
comfortable. I think
Okay,
that
great.
maybe she'll beat Kim Kardashian's 72-day
70. Yeah, yeah.
marriage to Chris Humphries. Is it
Chris Humphries.
72
Okay.
or 8?
73.
Oh, yes, that is the correct number.
73.
Yes.
73. Yeah. Somewhere in the middle.
I'll never forget the Perez Hilton post announcing it. That was back in the day when I would check Perez Hilton 17 times a day.
Of course.
And just he writes, I can't believe I'm writing this. I cannot believe I'm writing this. Chris Humphries, Kim Kardashian, West or not West, divorce. Never forget it. My whole life.
Never
Um,
forget where you were in the moment.
yes, probably on my couch. Okay, very quickly, I have to ask your opinion on the Chappell Roan situation. If you guys don't know, Chappell Roan, our number one star right
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
the biggest pop star that came out this
The
year.
biggest name in music right now.
Yeah,
Like you got Post Malone and you got Chappell Roan.
yes.
Yep.
She has kind of been in some media scandals lately, kind of her own doing, but also kind of not. Sometimes a lot of the controversy around her has been she does these interviews and then like Pop Crave or somebody on Twitter takes one sentence, they post it out of context,
Right.
everybody reacts.
Clickbait. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been very hard on her. And then recently, like 3 weeks ago, she made a video saying, "Hey fans, don't interact with me this way." Like she came out with all her boundaries. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that bad. It was a little, it seemed like she was ready to tussle a little bit, but nobody was really
Mm-hmm.
holding it against her. But then last week, she was asked about her political beliefs and whether or not she would endorse. This comes after the news that she was asked to perform at Pride at the White House. And she said, "I'm not going to perform at the White House because of your policies." Um, she's asked, will she be endorsing anyone? She says there are problems on both sides. That's the little clip that's taken out of context. If you read the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
she says, obviously, I am not going to support anything that Donald Trump does. He's horrible. There's problems on both sides. But then the quote seemed like she was voting for Kamala, but she didn't say whether or not she was
Mm-hmm.
going to. People pushed her to endorse. She made a video saying, "You guys use your common sense. Who do you think I'm voting for? Use context clues." But she didn't flat out say, "I'm endorsing Kamala Harris." I almost just said it wrong. More on that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then she makes an additional video saying, like, I can't endorse because of Palestine, because of trans issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, now iconic line, fine, I'll vote for effing Kamala, pronouncing her name wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People did not appreciate that. Then she took herself out of the lineup of a music festival that has been heavily promoting her. Basically, all of their media has been, you will go to this event and you will see Chappell Roan. She pulls out one day before, stating that she needs to take some time for her mental health and she needs to not perform at this. She'll see us soon. And she has shows scheduled this week, so I don't know if she's also doing those
Mm.
or not doing those. Thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, it's such a delicate subject. Obviously, mental health is real and it is important, and you don't want to ever push someone to somewhere they can't come back from, right? Um, if we go all the way back to the beginning, I think I when I saw her, hey, fans don't interact with me this way. I'm sorry, but fans are insane.
Yeah.
People are actually insane. I think it is weird. Like, as much as I love pop culture and I love celebrities, I think it's weird to just take out your phone and like try to go up to someone and just start taking photos of them.
Yeah.
They're a human person, and that is weird. For me, when if it comes to like a celebrity, my dream is just to like chat them up in a coffee shop.
Yes.
All the videos that you see of someone just like chatting with someone like Harry Styles at a farmer's market, like that's my ideal celebrity interaction where you're just like, oh, hi.
Yeah. Well, because
Oh, do
like
you, and like
I
you
want
just
them
start
to like
talking to
me
them.
too.
I just want them to like me. I
Yeah.
don't need a picture of them. I don't want them to sign anything. Autographs don't make sense to me, really,
Hmm.
in my opinion. But like, I understand it because people are weird and people have taken it to the extreme. And just because you like her music doesn't mean that you can just shove a camera in her face or touch them.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't know how much like trauma Chapel has had when it comes to be like being physically touched in the past. We don't actually, there's things that she may not have been talking about in the media or not. She
Yeah.
could just be a normal person that doesn't like to be touched by strangers.
Yeah.
I thought that was fine because I was like, well, if this is the kind of like celebrity you want to be, in that this is how you want to be like, do not touch me, rather than be like an Anne Hathaway that steps out of the, blacked out,
Yeah.
SUV and is like, everyone calm down,
We're going to
stay on
stop.
your side. We're going to stop. And like, there, it's
Yeah.
just the different ways. And so on that side, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
like
people,
hopefully she starts the
people are insane.
charge. Yeah.
Yes. For people to act normal, because I don't think just because she's a celebrity that you're allowed to just run up to them, touch them, and take their photo.
Yes.
To me, I would never do that to a celebrity. They're just human beings.
Hmm.
Um, Now, it's really hard for me, her backing out of her tour, or like out of at least those show dates for her
Yeah.
mental health. Again, you never want to push someone to a extreme where they cannot come back from, and mental health is important. But then on the other side, like, you are a public figure and you did choose to do this,
Yeah.
and you could have not made the video. Like, not making the video of who you're going to endorse or vote for is always a choice. I know people were bugging her, but to me, I'm like, you did have a choice not to make any
Well,
statements and not
and
make any videos.
like the difference, because people were like, well, you guys didn't give Taylor Swift a break until she endorsed somebody. It's very different. A person of Taylor Swift's stature, like in a $1 billion corporation, I did also want her to endorse. I didn't feel like it would be bad if she didn't, but like that was like what I wanted. But I don't feel like holding lesser, like normal celebrities is like the same conversation, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so I understand why people
And
wanted,
Taylor has been political before. If
yeah.
you've watched Miss Americana, you know that like there was a whole thing
Well,
in 2016.
and
So like she's talked about it before.
When Chappell Roan says, guys, use context clues. Of course, anybody, she dresses in drag and she has drag queens around her at all her shows.
I
Any,
barely know anything about Chappell Roan, and
yeah,
I know that she would vote for
yeah.
Harris. Like,
So it's the most performative thing in the world to be
yes,
like, you have to speak up. You know, it's not just enough for you to say this, you have to endorse too. Like
no,
that is,
that's actually insane to me.
yeah, like
Use your brain.
you're insane. You're insane.
And
That being
like,
said, mental
I
health,
don't need, I don't honestly, I don't need to know
yeah,
who Chappell Roan is voting for.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't.
yeah.
If she,
And
it's
if
just
you
like,
and if you need
it's
to
just
know,
not
then
a
you can just
thing.
use your brain.
I agree,
Yeah.
100%. Like, just look at her songs, look at who she is, look at how she performs, and literally,
Mhm.
again, like she said, she was correct in saying, guys, use context clues.
Yeah.
And don't like yell at her because she's not going to say it. That's weird. Again, like that's the thing of like fans being weird.
Yes,
Just because she is a public person doesn't mean that you get to know everything about her life, and she doesn't owe you anything. Like she
exactly.
doesn't owe you a picture, she doesn't owe you a hug, and she especially doesn't have to like tell you who she's voting for and why.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Exactly.
That's just me.
Yeah. And then as far as her like dropping out of the shows,
It sucks. It
it
sucks.
sucks. It sucks. And first of all, let me tackle this. A lot of people were very upset, justifiably so. And then other reactions, for some reason, people think that they're being like so, like avant-garde or whatever, like so like risk-taking, saying like if you're only going to a music festival for one artist, that's your problem in the first place. They freaking promoted it, and like guess what? That's why places release their lineups
Yeah.
beforehand. They say,
And
hey, if
why
you
stars, why music headlines like Coachella, it's like the biggest names are big
yes,
and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm sorry, you're not buying a ticket to Coachella for
they
the smallest name
they
on the
release
t-shirt.
they release the set list and then they sell the tickets.
Yeah.
So saying, oh well, like you shouldn't be complaining or whatever. Yeah, I guess the lineup was actually very good, but people are going for Chappell Roan, especially because
Yeah.
her tour that she's on now, those tickets sold before her like surge in
Mm,
popularity. So nobody really has access to Chappell Roan concerts right now. This was kind of the only way, unless you were like back with her in the trenches long ago. But so it's just so that's one thing. Number two, yes, prioritize mental health. But like maybe my inner boomer in me is coming out. But like
you promise this?
you gotta fulfill your commitments. In the same
Absolutely.
way where I was
That's
like a
being an
little
adult.
where
It's
I was
being an
like
adult.
a little pissed when Harry Styles canceled his tour for us because he had the
Mary, I was going
flu.
to say the exact same thing. Like Harry canceled our tour. We had flown to California from all different states
Yes.
to see Harry. He canceled 2 hours before we were about to leave our hotel. But like as a concert goer and just as an adult, in my head, I think any concert could be canceled at any time.
Yeah.
Like I am paying this money knowing that it could be canceled at any point in time and there's nothing I can do about it. I
Yeah.
think every concert goer needs to have that like mentality.
Yeah. And have like plan Bs and everything.
Yeah.
Like I it's hard for the public, including myself, to empathize with, oh, I'm going to screw over a entire huge group of people, the festival promoters, like the people that invited me to do this, my crew, everyone, for this public scandal that I created a day before, especially when most of the public are all in positions of normally, if you're feeling a little under the weather, you still have to go to work because that's your job. And it's hard
Yeah.
for you to just
Mm-hmm.
take frivolous sick days with like one day. It's hard for me as a mom to be like,
It it definitely comes from a place of privilege for her to
yeah,
be able to cancel those shows, right?
yeah,
She's not an artist that's going to be sued millions of dollars, and even if she was sued a lot of money, maybe she would figure out a way to for it to be okay,
yeah.
right? For backing out of a contract or whatever. So like it's definitely a place of privilege
Yeah.
to be able to prioritize your mental health, but also that kind of speaks to like I wish more people had the privilege of prioritizing their mental health and not having to go to work if
Yeah.
something is actually wrong and being able to take a break, but people can't take that
Yeah.
time because it's money.
Well,
Um,
and I feel
so it's
like
a really hard thing.
this like lends itself to a bigger conversation about like celebrities and access that they give. Like if you look at, and this isn't an original thought, like a lot of people have been talking about this, but if you look at like Beyonce and Taylor Swift over the years, Beyonce only talks to her fans like when she has something to sell, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift like used to be like more interactive or whatever, and then in order to sustain fame without driving yourself bonkers, she has cut off access from her fans to her. She doesn't really
Yeah.
talk directly to her fans unless it's like a very pre-planned thing, right? Like sometimes she'll allegedly get on TikTok and leave comments. That could be anybody, you know? And like Adele talks about this. I will tour an album, I'll fulfill my commitments, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
not seeing me
Yep.
until I
Until the
want to
next
be
thing.
seen again because
Yes.
touring is mentally hard on me.
Yes.
And that's kind of like where I stand with Chappell Roan too. She needs to strike that balance, but that balance includes fulfilling your commitments. And of course, if she's in a horrible mental crisis, then yes. But what it
Yeah.
appears is that the scandal got too much. She was in a bad place because of that. And then she didn't want to persevere. And like in her terminology that she used in the statement was, you know, things have gotten a little bit much. I need to take the weekend off. Right.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, I would love to do that too. Most people
I
would.
just, I would love to talk to maybe other performers, and if it's like, okay, so if it's too much for her, cancel meet and greets. I don't know if she had like meet and greets.
Yeah.
Cancel your meet and greets, go out on stage, sing your songs, and get out.
Yeah. And then you need
Did
to
you
go
have
take
to
your mental health
cancel the
time.
actual performance?
Yeah.
Like, can you just go into a crowd of your fans that are there to see you, do your set list, and then get out? Do not
Yeah.
stay for any pictures, meet and greets, interviews, anything like that. Just cancel that. But like, just do your set list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's where, obviously we are out of our league of like how much does that drain you when you're already going through a mental health situation? How much does like performing and putting on a face, if you will, affect you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But and I mean, these are all just judgments that we're making, not knowing what the situation is at the core.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the information that we've been given and her intention to go and perform this week, we can imagine that it was a very bad case of the blues, rough place, but just the people that were flying in to see her, like it all just sucks. It's a sucky
It really
situation.
does.
But
It
then
really does.
also the risk reward of this also gets me because I'm like, how was it not worse for you and for your mental health to cancel this thing
Hmm.
and lose
And
out on
then
the
like
money and get all that
fans
backlash? It's compounding
and
backlash.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm like, why couldn't you just perform and then get out of there?
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's really tough on performers to put up an act. And maybe
Yeah.
she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to put up a happy face all the time just to perform. But I don't, yeah, it seems like canceling on that many fans who are wanting to see you, who love you. I just hope that I mean, this will all be a learning and growing experience for
Hmm.
her. She's young, she blew up really fast. So it's all going to be like a growing, she's going to learn how to deal with the media. The more and more she deals with it, she's going to learn what she can and cannot post on social media. She'll
She
put
needs
up
to not
boundaries
be
for
online.
herself. It doesn't seem like it, but
Yeah.
that's really hard when you need to be online.
Yeah. Like my
You know what I mean?
prescription for her would be no more online
No more.
for right now. For right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Taylor, you're the best. Thank you
You're
for
the
thank you
best.
for doing this.
Love you.
Are your profiles public? Do you
I
want
don't know.
followers?
Yeah, I do want followers. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, I
follow
do want followers.
Taylor Tucker.
I always want followers. You can follow me on TikTok.
Follow Taylor. Is it Tay Brettle on?
Yeah, Tay Brett. It might just be Tay Brett on TikTok. No
I'll link
L.
everything in the
T A
caption.
Y B R E T T on TikTok.
Guys, you'll never find
Um,
anyone hotter or more charming
no.
than Taylor Tucker. She is a light and an angel in my life. I could go on and on and on and on and on about her, and I'm so grateful for her coming on today. And everybody, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the I Just Want to Chat podcast. You can find us on TikTok at I Just Want to Chat podcast. Find us on Instagram at I Just Want to Chat podcast. And this week, you can find our merch. It's launching this week.
I can't
This
wait for
is
the merch.
this is coming out tomorrow. I'm wearing my navy chatty one today.
I will
Um,
be the first
my
sign up, the first pre-order, the first buyer.
my advice to the world is I normally get things like really oversized because I like
Mhm.
that. These I feel like maybe I'm normally a large and this is the large and it's
A
like
little big.
already like pretty oversized. I got the XL in two of the other colors and it's like a little bit like bigger for comfort. So maybe
Okay.
I'm gonna say
Good to
true to
know.
size.
Good to know.
But
You
you can
should.
find those later this week. And also thank you to Hydrodrug for sponsoring this episode. So use my code
Hmm.
WANNACHAT for 10% off of any purchase on hydrojug.com. Best water bottles ever. If you already have a water bottle, that's fine. But if you're looking for a new one,
Hmm.
these have like all the features I never knew
10
they
out of
needed.
10. 10 out of 10.
Anyway, thank you guys. Bye.